Hello, everyone. How are you today? This is a special episode of Secular Activism Unfiltered. I have two beautiful guests about to join me. I do want to say a few things. Um, I want to honor a few people today. One will be Gwendolyn Rose Forrest, whose birthday would have been January the 4th. She passed last year from cancer. The other one I want to honor is Tony Little, who sadly died from a car accident from a drunk driver on this actual day 3 years ago. Last night, I want to honor one of my best friends. This is the first year that I've not spent our birthdays together. And I'm so glad of the friendship that I have now. Words can't say how much I miss you. Even though we get along, the religious aspect of it. But this is the birthday since the 70s, so I did not spend time with you. And I'm feeling some kind of way today. But here's to a wonderful interview. And here's to my wonderful guest. First, she needs no introduction. She's the diva of Chicago, our beautiful sister, Cynthia McDonald. And last but definitely not least, the one who started it all, Mandisa Thomas.
Hey, Kelly, happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday to you.
Thank
I wish we were able to
you,
all celebrate.
everybody.
I wish we were able to celebrate it all together, like we did, like we were together at NanoCon and
Mhm.
also when we were together at Dragon Cons. And
Huh?
yeah, but yes.
I was there virtually.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I love the live stream again for me after the show and live stream. Yeah. I don't know how you sound breaking up to me. Do you sound the same to you as well?
Yeah, there was some lag.
This
There
is
was
just
some
me.
lag. There was some lag going on. But you're coming through fine now.
Okay.
hmm
Okay. So if you can repeat what you just said so we can hear you. Okay. They saying I froze too. I think we all
hmm
froze. Hopefully everything's back on track.
Yeah. I
So
see everyone and you.
basically what this show is about is I talk with people who are activists in the community and basically want to find out how they got started and whatever that sort and how they came to their deconstruction, a brief deconstruction story, and if they weren't, you know, how did they got and any goals they have for the future and things like that. That's basic things that I like to know. So I'll start with you, Cynthia. Were you ever religious? And if you were, how did you deconstruct?
Yes. Yes, I was. Born into Christianity, specifically grew up Episcopal. Got saved when I was 18 years old, when I was in college after I joined the gospel choir. Was in the church fairly, very heavy. Um, and I would say that my deconstruction started in while I was studying to be a minister in that same church because the problematic stuff about the Bible came up and I had a lot of questions. And when I would go to my teachers and ask them about the things that I read, and said, I don't understand, or this doesn't make sense, or whatever, just basically just like trying to get clarification on the things that I read. I would get only so far until I was told that I need to pray harder, that I need to let the Holy Spirit talk to me and instruct me in the ways of Christ, that I need, and things of that nature, so that I would so that I would have like a better understanding of the things that I was reading. And that never sat well with me. And I also did not like the patriarchy and the hierarchy and the misogyny that I would see a lot in church. And oftentimes I definitely did not like the sometimes the pick me behavior that church folk had in order for them to garner favor from the leadership, like pastors and things of that nature. And I think that I ended up leaving that church in 2007 when I came back to Chicago. I kind of bounced around a little bit when I was trying to find another church, but after a while, Christianity just did not settle well with me. I tried all other, philosophies like Buddhism. I was into yoga a lot, so I, studied some aspects of Hinduism. And then this one day, in the midst of me trying to chant, I realized that there is no God, and I began to cry. But then I realized that all these other times that I have been living, I have experienced atrocities and hard pain and things of that nature, and I was able to get through it without God. And so the next time I could do the same again. And that happened in 2018, and I've been living as an atheist ever since. Yeah, that's the short of it.
I think Kelly froze again.
Kelly's frozen. Oh, okay.
So I guess from here, I'll just go into my origin story
There you
for
go.
those who aren't familiar. Kelly, I think you're muted, but I can just go ahead and start if that works best. If that works best for everyone, great. So for those of you who weren't aware, I wasn't formally raised religious. I was raised very pluralistic. I grew up, was raised in the Black conscious community, very Afrocentric, exposed to a lot of folks who practice like spirituality. Some of them were 5%ers, some were Christian. But I did sing I had a vocal instructor, and I sang in various churches growing up. So I had like a peripheral view of religion. Sang in Seventh-day Adventist churches, sang in United Methodist churches. And I also attended church with my grandmother, who belonged to an apostolic church, very evangelical. And so I was able to see religion from a few different perspectives. Always from what I got from it, though, it wasn't very great. So I was definitely exposed to it from a cultural standpoint and a community standpoint, but not being indoctrinated to actually believe, which I think really gave me an early understanding of religion and the impact that it had on Black communities. However, I don't think I escaped indoctrination at all. After a while, I presumed that there was some sort of creator that existed. It definitely wasn't white Jesus, but there was some sort of entity out there that may have existed in sort of like a spiritual realm, even to an extent, some sort of like, even from like a more Afrocentric standpoint, or, the views of, because I read a lot of different mythology and learned about different gods when I was younger. But I really came to my identity as an atheist first at the age of 14. When I was in high school, I was very outspoken, very militant about the state of Black folks. And someone asked me if I was an atheist, and I said, "Well, what does that mean?"
Of the weather, so why this internet
And
is
I
so
was,
lagging.
oh
But
yeah,
I did a test before,
oh okay, yeah, no
and
problem.
it's
We know
getting really
we,
irritating because I did the speed test before and I seem to be pretty good,
yeah,
but I
no
don't know what's going
problem.
on.
We got
And
you,
I'm
girl. We
hardwired
know.
too, so I really don't understand why it's acting up. Yeah, but
No,
the
no
show must
problem.
go on.
Yes, and we got you. We know how
Yeah.
this goes. So
Okay.
yes. So
Okay.
I
Sorry.
just remember, no, that's fine. No, I was saying that when I asked what an atheist was, I was told
Okay.
that I didn't believe in heaven or hell.
Yeah.
And at different times I asked, oh, I would try to like reconcile that there was a life after death, and I just couldn't. And I used to be up at night thinking about it as a kid. And so I just could never reconcile it. And so as I got older and as my family grew, I knew I didn't want to be around a bunch of Christians, but the time eventually came where I had to consider not just my issues with the church and Christianity, but also re-examine and reevaluate my position. And thinking about how I grew up and learning and reading different forms of mythology, being exposed to different religions, and truly understanding that all of it is just relegated to human imagination, human creativity. I became less afraid of the word atheist as I truly began to understand what it meant, and also not just being afraid to just say it, because of course there is still a negative connotation to it. For a while I called myself agnostic, but I'm like, no, 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 I don't believe in any of it. So here I am. So of course, I identify with other non-religious, I do use other non-religious labels like humanist, a skeptic. But yes, atheist is one that I came to, and I am proud of it. I was just like, look, all of it, is in the same box. It's that was just it for me once I got there. Yeah.
And that's so funny. I did have a conversation with somebody because I was like, I'm all that. I'm a free thinker, a skeptic, a humanist, and I'm an atheist. I'm all that brought up in one because they have the same. They're the same if you think about it. One thing different is a humanist is not all atheists are humanists because some of them are out cold. But other
Hmm.
than that, yeah, I fit in all those boxes.
Absolutely. And I do think that there
Yeah,
is
but
a
but my
bit of a
deconstruction
variation
story
in it.
was very similar to Cynthia's.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm like, no, I'm go to skeptic meetings, I go to atheist meetings, I go to humanist meetings as well. And a lot of times we do combination meetings because they 2 or 3 people from each group. Let's all get together and have brunch instead of just doing separate brunch with 2, 3 people at each brunch. That's what we've been doing lately. But yeah, I mean, that's what it's about, community and stuff like that. But my story was kind of like Cynthia's and stuff. I thought, I was raised by well, my mother raised me, of course, but my grandma was in the house, her mother. So she taught me religion at the age of 5. So I'm thinking that was the right way to go. And then when I left the, I went to Catholic school, but we were Baptist. So my mom realized that Catholics got half off tuition. Then we became Catholic. But when I got in high school, I joined a evangelical church. And when I left that church, I started doing Hindu, Nation of Islam, and stuff like that. Try to find the right feet. Then in the end, I just settled at a Baptist church. Then after a while, I was like, this don't seem right to me either. So now I'm here, you know. But you ladies were outgoing and activist way before I got started. And you are the giants that I'm standing on the shoulders of today. And I thank you for Don't look like that, Cynthia. You know, you already doing the you already were doing the nonprofits and all that stuff, and you already was speaking at women of color conferences and stuff. Well, I was just a guest.
Mandisa voluntold me.
She's just good for that.
Yes,
She's
that's
good
what
for
I do,
volunteering.
people. That's what I do.
Volunteers
Just
us all the time.
yes, and the voluntelling has led to Cynthia getting the her speech there reproduced in Free Thought Today, the newspaper from FFRF. She is now a part of Godless Gospel, and it has led to many other opportunities in like very very being more hands-on in the movement. So it's yeah, no, I the one thing that I don't know if you wanted to segue into the parts of activism, especially now that BN is celebrating our 15th anniversary.
Yes.
So, if you want, I can start there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Because
like I said, many people walk away from religion, but not everybody chooses to go into activism. What
mhm.
triggered you? I guess I'll start with you, Mandy, at this time. What triggered you into starting being an activist?
Well, I would say what motivated me was one of my teachers, one of my mentors, actually, Miss Diane Glover. I love her to pieces. She was very, very she was very instrumental in raising me in in black consciousness and being proud to be black, especially as a woman. um and but she's a huge Christian. And it was just when we reconnected on Facebook. And so I remember, that's around the time where I had become familiar with Jeremiah Kamara. And so from there, I really started speaking up. That's when this is in 2010, when I really started to reassess my relationship with religion and what I thought about it. And I remember she kept asking me, like, why don't I believe in God at all? And so I said, well, it was people like you, the teachers that I learned from, the communities I was around, who taught me to see the conditions of our community for what they were, and also identifying what those problems are. And Christian, religion and this concept of God that has been just looming over us just really, really was, it was like that elephant in the room. Nobody really wanted to discuss that. We want to talk about the challenges of the community, what the problems are, but what are the factors? And she became one of those people who, when it came to her religion, that was a sore spot. That was the sore spot for her. And I had to tell her eventually, I said, there are people who are coming to me who are telling me that they don't believe this either. And when she tried to discourage me, that's when I got really pissed. And so from there, when I started connecting with folks, and when I came to my atheist identity and non-religious identity, I started looking for others. And I remember having a conversation with Jermaine Inouye, who was one of the producers of Black Atheists of America at the time. We eventually became connected, and he was telling me about the challenges he faced in participating with predominantly white meetup groups, because I got excited when I saw that there were. I was familiar with American Atheists before, but I became reacquainted with them, and also seeing that there were other groups. And I was just like, okay, so this is a good start. But I went to my first meetup, and everything that he said was pretty much personified. Everything that he said would happen happened. I've never met a Black atheist before. You know, the only other Black atheist who was there, I didn't know him. One of the ladies said, well, do you prefer to sit next to him? I was like, well, I was talking to you. You know, all of the microaggressions, all of the passive aggressiveness, and the dismissive of the fact that we were the only two Black atheists in a table full of white people. And so I said, you know, there has to be more of us out here. There has to be more of us in person that we can connect with. And so from there, and actually it was on this day that we started our Black Nonbelievers of Atlanta Facebook group, and then we started our website. And so it is actually the birthday of Black Nonbelievers as an entity from 15 years ago. And then in November, we shortened the name to Black Nonbelievers because as we attended other meetings and met other people, and folks wanted to start similar groups, but but under the umbrella of the organization, we were like, now we got to take it national. So we were really, we just really just hit the ground running. But first we did that by connecting with others, telling what our mission was, and doing it from the framework of the Black community, because it was important, but coming from the framework of Blackness, but also letting folks know that it wasn't simply exclusive, that we were willing to partner and get more folks involved, get more folks working with us. And again, just over the past 15 years, letting people know, look, there are more of us out here. We are looking to meet up with you. We are here to support you in whatever way we can, and how to grow that had become very, very crucial to our mission as an organization. So it was really through my teacher trying to discourage me from doing it that I was just like, no, you've never encouraged me. You've never taught me to be quiet about anything, but this now you have an issue with. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm a whole ass adult. You know, we have to take this head on. Just because you're scared of it doesn't mean I have to be. And it's interesting because even when I was younger, I would actually check her at times. I'm like, now, you know, I mean, I would call her out on stuff. I'd be like, now, Ms. Glover, now, you know you were wrong for this. So, you know, I had developed the habit of doing that with her as we became closer, as she was teaching me. And I'm like, no. Now we're going to do this as an adult. We're not going to do this here. You know, I'm like, I will not allow your fear to dictate how I move. So that's really what got me on the path. And connecting with folks, Black folks, even older Black women of her age, I was like, this was the right thing to do. It absolutely was the right thing to do, because we knew there were others out there. So yeah, I probably could go on like all day about that, but you know, Cynthia has to talk now. So yeah.
I mean, I don't really have to.
Yeah. The one thing I am gonna say, I'm gonna interject for a few seconds, is I know for me, I can't really say I hate, but it's like when people say like, there's no groups around my area. If somebody doesn't step in and start a group in the area, a Black Nonbelievers group, then how can it be groups everywhere? You know, it was a lady, she was from Greens, North Carolina, in a group, Facebook group. I let her know there is BN, there's a Charlotte group. And she said, well, I talked to Tina, but she says I might have to start a group. Unless you want to drive the hour and a half to go to the Charlotte meetings, that's going to have to happen. Unless somebody else steps in. But if we don't, and that's the thing with me. I stepped in because I wanted a Detroit group. And I knew nobody else was going to do it. So I'm like, well, I guess I got to do it. Can I do it? I guess I could, because I'm still here now. Now,
Can
same
you
question
do
for you,
it?
Cynthia. What?
Yes, you can. Can you do it?
Amen.
Yes, you can.
Can you kick it?
Yes, you
Yes,
can.
you can. Woo!
Well, gone then. Okay, I'll go. So, as far as like activism with me, I think that I was involved with doing reparations activism first, I would say. I was very passionate about it. I still am, and I talk about it ad nauseum. I am that atheist that talks about reparations. That is my claim to fame. And it needs to happen like yesterday. Uh, but regardless of that, I think that like my activism was most likely, speaking and also doing demonstrations and things of that nature with the movement concerning like reparations. And then the pandemic hit. I was asked by another atheist YouTuber that I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are familiar with, Ethan Michael, about why is the mortality rate so high amongst Black Americans with COVID. And at the time, like, my 9 to 5 is social work. And so I work in the healthcare industry, and I get information about numbers all the time, and especially at that particular time because I was working with a clinic where we were case managing people who were dealing with chronic infectious diseases, specifically HIV. And I had a lot of clients who were Black and brown, trans, women, and all it seems like that along with COVID came all the ills that Black folk especially face when it comes to housing insecurity, food insecurity, even able to find steady work, trying to get an income, things of, all the alls that we have faced since Moses supposedly asked people who was on the Lord's side. So when he asked me to do a video with another person that was I think he was a correctional officer, about mortality rate, we got into the history of, institutional racism and how it definitely affects, Black people the most, because the reason why we have race is because of Black folk. So we did the show, and after we were done with it on his network, he said, "You all need your own show." So that's when we started the 13%, and that's when we were talking about issues that mostly face Black America at that time, and we talked a lot about different inferences that happened in the Black community concerning our social determinants of health or the lack thereof. I then would talk a lot about, because like the guy that I was doing the show with was a Christian. I started to do the show with my then partner, who was an atheist. I wanted to make sure the show also definitely highlighted non-belief and how it was important to look at these issues, because like one of the things that I have noticed or observed when talking about these particular issues, working with even local groups, because I was working with local groups here on about social and economic justice and equity in the Black community, and a lot of them were Christian. Sometimes, a lot of times, we met up with churches and things of that nature. And, it was always this bend to, but God will provide, but God will do, but God will say, but God will intervene. And, I said, well, I don't necessarily mean to offend. Yes, I do. But God ain't did shit. So if we are looking for God to save us, why the hell are we here in the first place? Why are we organizing? Why are we talking to legislatures? Why are we trying to get bills passed? one of the things that we did do, like the group that I was working with, is that we got a chance to get a healthcare language passed in the Illinois Senate, and it was signed eventually by J.B. Pritzker to declare, violence as a health crisis. And we also know that, especially like when we were talking about Black women, whether if you are cis or trans, some of the highest IPV, interpartner violence and domestic violence, is amongst Black women, whether if you're cis or you're trans, doesn't matter. And so, we were looking to get like resources and things of that nature. But it was people power that was doing it. It was not God. And so eventually I was tapped on the shoulder by the ACA to come to do content with them on the nonprofits. And after that, I believe that we did, even when I was still doing content with Ethan, I believe that we did a roundtable with Black atheists, and that's where I met Mandisa. And from there, we started, being on shows and collaborating, and that's when I got voluntold to talk about reparations at the Women of Color Beyond Belief conference in 2021. It was funny because like it was all types of cool things that was going on at the Women of Color Beyond Belief conference that I could not participate in, because at that particular time my mother was inflicted with COVID and I was taking care of her until she got better. So I think that I popped in for a few hours, gave my speech. I think I danced a little bit, ate some food, and then went home. But yeah, and from there on, we've done a lot. I mean, like we hosted shows when we talked about, voting in the Black community, especially, what Black men. We then also too reinstated the Black Non-Believers Chi-Town group in 2023, and been meeting ever since, and doing brunch, talking, having conversations about holding space for people who are coming out of religion, and even speaking on with power concerning the work that we need to do as secular people, as humanists, in the current climate, the political climate that we are in today. And even got a chance to do some cross-pollination with other groups as well. I know that like here, like being Chi-Town, we work a lot with the Chicago Republic Atheist Group a lot. I know I'm not saying that right, but like the Atheist Republic, Council of Chicago, that's what it's called. We do a lot of cross pollination, cross meetings with them. Also, and one of the things, like I do have to say that when I was asked and did my proposal for the American Humanists to speak at their conference last year in Chicago, Mandisa came. And I did not know this, but they made me a finalist for their Free Thought Award. I think their Humanist Free Thought Award for like the next big idea when I talked about reparations. And that did, lead to other people saying, hey, can you speak to our group about reparations? And, and so like, I would definitely say, like, I'm very grateful for being voluntold to speak at the Women of Color Beyond Belief conference, because yes, that definitely led to opportunities to really spread the message and about why reparations is so important in Black communities, and why it should never be something that we stop talking about, stop pushing for. And I even though that I know that like there is 10,654 things that happen every time that we wake up in this here United States right now. But reparations is still a debt that is owed. It is still something that should and must be paid to the descendants of chattel slavery in America. And we should make it a priority to, just like how you would hear about the Holocaust, never forget. That's the same thing that we need to have, that particular attitude when it comes to reparations, never forget. Because I remember listening to a Phil Donahue show a long time ago. And there was I forgot the minister. There was a minister from the
You're just
Nation
telling
of
your
Islam.
age.
Yeah, it's okay. I know I'm old as hell. It's cool. But but yeah, like it was, I forgot they were speaking to a minister from the Nation of Islam. I forgot specifically what his name was. Regardless, there was a woman, a Black woman, who got up and she said something very powerful. She said, the Holocaust that happened to Jewish people in Germany and throughout World War II was the greatest atrocity that happened on film. But our Holocaust was never filmed. And that's the thing that I, even push like people to like look at history, especially the history that is not taught in schools, that's being purposely hidden. I mean, like, how many know about Punch Bowl, Mississippi? How many know about Black babies that were, during slave times, that were being fed to alligators for sport? How many know about if, a slave would invoke a protest for not working and decided not to eat because they would rather die, and how they were basically treated like goose who wanted to get fatty livers and force fed in order to, to make their livers a bigger for consumption. I mean, but basically their teeth will be like, knocked out and force fed in order for them to keep working. I mean, like, slaves literally worked themselves to death. And not just here in the United States, but all across the diaspora, especially like when you look at the Caribbean and also in Central and South America. So these are things that like definitely inform my activism. And I believe in doing it with empiricism, not because God said so. Because for the simple fact of the matter is, and this is something that I did not mention in my deconstruction story, is that another reason why I divorced myself from the church is because the Bible endorses slavery. It endorses slavery in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. And we know for a fact that verses within the Pentateuch and also within the letters in Paul, like in Colossians and also in Ephesians, were used to justify slavery and why this institution of evilness should continue. So since that is the case, and if God is an all-loving, all-powerful, all-knowing entity, and he knew the horrific things that would happen to a people who at 80% worship him and identify with being believers of him, why would he allow something like that to happen to them in the first place? And every explanation that I got, the curse of Ham, the curse of Cain, etc., etc. The Mormons say, Black people were cursed with a dark skin because they didn't side with, Jesus when he was Michael, on the faraway planet that was heaven before they came to the earth. All these types of excuses, they fall short. And so either God is not real and it was completely made up, or God exists and he's a dick. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I just know that even in that particular case, even if God exists and he's that dick, I can never worship him because it was his words, according to Christians and others who happen to, give credence to that book, that justified my people's enslavement in the first place. And as Congressman Jasmine Crockett would say, with that, I will yield.
Yeah, I don't think I have any more to add except for my
Oh,
upbringing as, in the Black conscious community definitely has informed all of that. And I'm such a huge history nerd, all types of history, but in every city that I visit, I always make it a point to visit the Black museums, African American heritage museums, because a lot of the information is stuff that a lot of folks don't know. And that always informed my upbringing and my activism, is the history and the information and the knowledge, the undisputed knowledge of the atrocities that have been committed against Black folks, but also the resilience that we've held as a people.
Yes.
And I don't think we would be doing our due diligence if we did not acknowledge that, the fact that y'all could downplay the resilience and the strength of people in our community by just simply relegating it to, well, this is a part of God's plan. No. We have to acknowledge our ancestors who fought and died, some who even carried the weight so that we could be here. So these are all things that are important, and we have to continue to carry on that legacy, and that means expressing, and advocating for our dissent, even for what they believed, because we don't progress that way. So instead of holding on to it and trying to hold it near and dear as an institution, which a lot of Black folks didn't. So that's also a very important part of the activism that we do, especially at Black non-believers. All right, Kelly, you're back.
She yielded.
I'm back. Yeah. Yeah. Sugar was like messing with me. I think she wants my attention, but she got to wait for a few minutes.
Yes, we got the kitties.
But yeah, when you look at the sad history of what went on, and the fact that I just found out recently, within a couple of years, that the slave owners received reparations.
Yes, they did.
So I'm like, oh, really?
They sure did.
And it's closer because where my great grandmother was not a slave, she was born 1885, but her parents were slaves, and some of her siblings were slaves because she was like 12. She was 12 out of 12 kids. So they were sharecroppers, which damn near was the same thing.
Yeah.
Born in Alabama. What was the difference? They got paid pennies on the dollar for that land.
Or nothing.
The water work that they did. That was no but slavery. And then you don't think about the breaking that they did. There was a lot of stuff that the slave owners did to the slaves that is horrific, that you don't find that out until after the fact. And I don't understand. Like, here's a thing. I understand that the church, because it was the only place that we can go and talk without the master bothering us. That's how we did the Underground Railroads and stuff. We cannot do it with, it wasn't church around. The civil rights,
right?
Church, we can have our meetings because they was not going to bother us. So I understand that now we don't have to do that now. With this administration, I don't know what's going to happen. We have to fake like we atheist church orange turd. But
and even I would say that even churches being a safe space during the civil rights movement wasn't always, that was even disputed because of the because of the church bombing in Birmingham, the 16th Street Baptist Church, where those young girls were killed.
Exactly.
And they were getting ready for Sunday school.
Sure were.
So I mean, there are instances that you can, historical references that you can point to where we can say this wasn't always, we could argue that it was not always a safe space for us, and so if we,
And
there's
don't forget,
Mhm.
Mandisa, that it was actually a minority of churches and Black
Yeah,
Christians that supported the civil rights movement
yeah.
because they were concerned about white
It
backlash.
was dangerous. It
Yeah,
was extremely
right.
dangerous.
I mean, because like,
Mhm.
one of the things that I wanted to say about Martin Luther King and his camp, specifically, people who were around him that were organizers, they they used the atrocities that were happening to protesters to their advantage. And how they did that was using media.
Mhm.
At that particular time, especially when we're looking at the late 50s, early 60s, that's when you are seeing a lot of African nations and Caribbean nations starting to become independent of England. And you had at that time two big powers, the United States and the USSR. So the question was going to be, when these countries were now going to have independence, and I use that loosely, from their colonizers, where they're going to go to align themselves with trade and protections and the like. And so what was happening also at that time? The Cold War. And then what King's camp was saying is that we need to cause as much ruckus as possible in order to get this stuff filmed, because the filming that we see, like when we watch a lot of these particular civil rights documentaries, it wasn't just filmed, it wasn't just shown in the United States, it was broadcasted all over the world.
Yes,
All over
and
the
it
world.
took for it to be broadcast on live TV for President Kennedy at the time to really pay attention,
Yes,
because when King and the civil rights leaders went to him, it was actually dismissed.
that's correct.
So they
That's
actually
right.
had to show it. So I mean, there's so much history that we could get into,
Yes, and
about
yeah,
that
and
time period.
and
Oh boy, that is our
Yeah.
thing.
that is our right. I said me and Mandisa can have a 3 to 15 trillion hour stream just on this period alone. People like, would those chicks shut up? No, absolutely not. You need to learn this.
Yeah. Yeah, we can go on and on and on. We can go on and on and on in our conversation. Okay, the
Mm.
last question, and I'll start with you, Cynthia. What short-term goals do you have with your uh, Chi-Town group or anything else that you're working with?
You know, that's a
The
good question.
short-term goals that you
My sh-
have.
my Yeah, my short-term goals is to, continue to, do meetups and to grow the group. I mean, because like, even though doing my show, The Roots Matter, like I talk to, different people, and they may say that, and then like sometimes I even have like some people reach out to me, and they will always say, oh well, like, Chicago's a big city, I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of atheists and agnostics that are there. And I'm like, "Nah." But I think that it's important, especially when we're talking about our community, that our community is still extremely religious and leans extremely Christian. And that identity of Blackness with Christianity is still extremely prevalent. It may not be as high as it was, let's say, like, 20, 25, 30 years ago, but it's still pretty high. I mean, like we are the largest Christian group in the United States as African Americans. And then we also know that um, evangelical Christianity, especially, has basically, shackled the continent of Africa. It's insane. So the thing is like my personal goal is to continue to to have these spaces where it is safe for especially Black folk to be able to come and be their authentic selves without having to be concerned about putting a bit on their tongue because they are wondering if we're going to offend another Christian or Muslim or any other, monotheistic, polytheistic, a religious person in the room, right? So, and I know that they are necessarily out there, but we also still have a high rate of people in our group, especially, that are closeted. So, and I had people come to the meetups and say, well, my family doesn't know I'm an atheist. And we even had, like, even on CCon, like, we had a sister in the movement whose family didn't know, and she was keeping it silent, even though, like, she was on YouTube, she was doing all types of stuff, doing interviews, things of that nature, but her family did not know. So my goal is to grow the group, keep it to the point where we can keep people safe, and making sure that they're able to express themselves and be authentic, and also to encourage them to, when it is safe and when in certain aspects, to live out loud. If it's safe for you, and I'm not going to tell everybody, like, you should come out and say that I'm atheist and proclaim it from the mountaintops, like, like, I've been on the mountaintop and I've seen the glory. Like, I ain't gonna do that, right? Because I understand that it's not always safe for every person to come out. I mean, like, especially, like, if it's a family members, they may rely on these people for a roof over their head, for clothes on their back, for shoes on their feet, for food in their bellies, etc., etc. But I would encourage them to definitely continue to lock themselves into and participate in community, because that is going to be the thing that's going to offer them the peacefulness and the tranquility, and also the safe space that they need, and that's the thing that I'm hoping to do, especially with the group in Chicago.
And I guess I will speak on, nationally and of the entire organization, and Cynthia's ability to continue to grow in Chi-Town. Your ability, Kelly, to continue to grow in Detroit depends on the support that we get on the national level. Right. And we are headquartered in Atlanta. I am the person who oversees, the operations as well as coordinates for the Atlanta, for the main group. And in order for us to do that, we need your support. So in the short term, we do have a very, very aggressive fundraising goal, even though I think it's manageable. I think it's tenable. We are trying to raise a minimum of $50,000 for BN's work, especially that we've been around for 15 years. We will be celebrating our 15th anniversary at this year's Revival of Reason in Atlanta. We are doing CCon again. And I will just say Kelly and Keelana, her daughter, was there last year. There was one woman who came with one of our guests, and she was a Christian. And at first she didn't know how to take us, right? She was just like, wait a minute, like, who are these people? I know I'm here on a cruise, but who are all these people who are saying they're atheists? Like, even beyond her friend, she may have known them, but she didn't know us. It was a very interesting experience for her to be around more of us. And that may have been intimidating for her, but by the end of the cruise, guess what? We were hanging out, we were going back and forth. We were doing what Black folks do. We were doing what folks do. And I think it's important for us that, it's important for people to understand that if we are to grow, we need money, and we also do need people who are willing to step up and organize and maintain and invest. Kelly and Cynthia have invested in Black Nonbelievers. They are official members. They have donated. They put in their time. They put in their own money, just as many of us have. Has it been beneficial? Sure, because that's what that is among my personal philosophy, is that the more voices and the more leaders out there, the better. But we have to know that you are invested in doing this work. And sometimes it's not always going to be pretty, but we do need the resources for that. We are also going to be establishing, speaking of paying homage to those who have parted, who are beloved ones who are no longer with us. And shout out to Gwendolyn Forrest, who was an avid, she donated to BN regularly. And shout out to Tony. But we also want to establish a travel fund for Gene Taylor, who was in Atlanta. He was originally from Chicago, but he passed away suddenly of a heart attack in 2022, 2 weeks before my father did. And Gene was an very outspoken atheist. He had a tattoo of a non-praying mantis. It was fantastic. He had a tattoo of a mantis folding its arms, and that was just how forthright he was, and his dedication to supporting Black non-believers, attending events. He was supposed to attend BNC-Con that year, but unfortunately he passed away the day after I spoke with him. And he was like a father to me, and I'm trying not to tear up right now. But it is folks like him who, and he was an avid biker. He was so proud of his trip to Alaska via motorcycle. And everywhere he went, he would take pictures in his BN hoodies, in his BN shirts. I mean, he was a ride or die. And so we want to establish a travel fund for people who want to attend our events, but may not be able to, but who need support in that, or who might need a complete subsidy. And that's something that we've done unofficially at Black Non-Believers. We've subsidized folks in attending our events. We do support people because we do think that it is important for folks to be engaging in person. And like Cynthia said, no one is forcing you to be out. We hold that space for our folks. However, I am proud to have seen folks who were almost deathly afraid to talk about their non-belief become so assertive. And they're like, I don't give a damn what you think anymore because I have people to support me. That is absolutely important to us, for them to know that they have us in their corner. And in order for us to continue to be visible, continue to engage in spaces where you may not normally see us, and that people need to see us in real time and virtually, that needs your support. So I'd like to thank everyone who became official members of Black Non-Believers, who supported our live stream fundraiser from the day before, who will continue to donate to our work, because we do need to reach this fundraising goal for our operations, for us to continue to expand and grow, so that Kelly and Cynthia and Tina and also myself can have the resources that we need to get to conferences, to get to other events, to sponsor student scholarships like we do, and to support other people in attending the events that we are putting on and also that we sponsor. So I know that's a lot, though. That's a lot in the short-term goal, but the main thing here is to get folks donating and supporting, so that Black Non-Believers as a national organization can continue to support our affiliate leaders on the ground. And that is, you're seeing two of them right here, Kelly and Cynthia. We need your support so that we can continue to support them in what they do and in what we all do, the work that we are doing. And I'd like to give a shout out because we will be at the 10th anniversary of the Ark Encounter protest. We will be at different events throughout the year. And so the money that we get helps that work. It helps with all of it. So even if it's just a few dollars, please do donate to the organization, because we need it and we need your help. And we appreciate it. We appreciate all of you.
Word.
I forgot to say that the QR code at the top is the link to donate. I think the QR code, I forgot to say that. But if you can do that now, donate. Also on our Facebook group, I've posted links and Instagrams and TikToks and all that stuff. There's also links on those through Black Non-Believers and my site, Cynthia's page, and everything else. So donate, donate, donate. You
And
know,
the
I
link
have
to
your
donate
Facebook says every donation is a kiss to me. So
and the
give
and
me
the and the
a
link.
birthday kiss.
I was just gonna say
Smooch,
that
smooch.
the donation link for Black Non-Believers, if you want to give, is also in the chat.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, indeed. So
Yes. I put the link earlier in the day.
yeah.
But yes, it is always now. I don't know what happened, Cynthia, but I do want you on my show for next month. Talk about some more of this black stuff, reparations, all that good
Black
stuff, because
stuff.
it's Black History Month
Hey,
next month.
Cynthia,
So
come
get
on
you
our
back
show
on
and
the
talk
show.
about black
We can
stuff.
talk about some good black stuff, you know.
Sure, I'm
So,
always down to talk about black stuff. I mean, me being black and all. I'm cool to talk about that black stuff. I'll tell you. Well, I mean, for a moment,
we can
that's
walk
kind
that
of how
black
I
stuff on the
started.
show.
Well, that's kind of how I started my rounds, like in these YouTube streets, I was like on nonprofits, but like other content creators would invite me on, and I was
YouTube
literally
spaces.
that chick that I was that atheist chick that they invited to talk about black stuff. Like that was literally my thing. Like I was that girl. So yes, I would be honored to come and talk about black stuff on your channel, because you grace me with your presence on mine, so I will be more than happy to return the favor. And yeah, so yeah, we can definitely chop it up about black stuff.
Yes, and also I just like to say
Great.
to our non-black
I don't know what
counterparts.
happened.
Mm-hmm. No, it's like to our non-black counterparts, co-conspirators. Yes, please do attend. One of our speakers this year for CCon 2026 is Godless Engineer.
Yep.
And we're also going to be representing at the Rocket City Reason Conference.
Yep.
So we also shout out to Joe, the Kentucky Atheist, who is in the chat.
Yes.
And
Who
Joe
is going to be my next guest on the Roots Matter? So make sure you.
And we got to give a shout out to our South. Oh yes.
We got to give a
our
shout out
South
to
African Atheist Republic.
Yes,
Dean Kruger. Yes.
Dean's still here, all the way from South Africa.
We thank you so much, Dean, for being
and I found
here.
you see I found my buttons.
Yay!
Yes, I got mine on as well. See, well, the thing
still here.
Something is in the way. I don't know. Here we go. There you go.
Well, I couldn't find mine where I was in front of my face. I overlooked it.
Wow.
Wow. Yay.
Yay.
One for each jug. Rocket City is October 12th to the 14th in October, Ryan.
Yeah, we need to get the website up for that.
Yeah, I see my Java and Jug sisters. A few of them is in here right
Woohoo!
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I don't know what happened, but they took down my episode with me and Tina on your page.
Yeah, we don't worry about it.
Copyright strike or something.
Yeah, we fixed that. It's gonna go.
What happened?
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's
Do I have to come back on to redo it?
No, you don't. I mean, I would love for you to come back on, but like, no, you don't have to.
Kelly is like, do I need to come back?
Right? No, no, you don't. I'm like,
what the hell? My episode ain't on here.
Like, right? No.
Like, damn, was that bad?
No. It had nothing to do with you. It was just like the introduction music that was on there was claimed by like somebody. So we had to find the episode again so that we can do the necessary edits and put it back up. So it'll be up before the end of the week. So yes, guys, just if you all want to go to the Roots Matter and like and subscribe and all that other great stuff, I will be putting up an episode of my conversation with the affiliate leaders of Black Non-Believers. So yeah, all that. Subscribe now. I need all that, please and thank you. Mwah.
Yes.
Chef's kiss.
It's always a pleasure spending time with you, ladies, as always.
Likewise.
Hopefully
Likewise.
this year we can do some Chicago, Detroit meetup group connections and stuff.
Yeah, most
Collabos, we
definitely.
love
Yes, yes, most
collabos.
definitely. The northern cold
Yeah,
as
it just
cold
depends
AF
on how the group feels
connection.
like traveling. I have a lot of couple elder people in my group,
Yeah, I hear you. But I mean,
so
there's
for
some
things.
people.
Even
We'll figure it out.
if I just come by myself, something will happen.
I mean, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
yeah. I mean, like, right. I was like, what do you mean by that? But I think that's an offline conversation. So,
Hey, we about
Yeah,
hey.
It is. Yeah, I'm just saying
yeah,
we're gonna
okay,
connect and do stuff together in
yeah,
person and
yeah.
online. It's
Yes,
gonna be a
ma'am.
year. No matter who is
Nice,
in the office.
nice, very
But
nice.
like I
I'm
said, it's
for
always
it.
a pleasure talking with you, beautiful ladies, and I'm so glad that you are my family. We are
Yes.
connected
We
for
love you,
Yay!
life.
Kelly. And
You're not
Yes.
stuck with me, and you can't get rid of me.
are you sure about that? No, I'm just kidding.
Damn, I didn't know it was gonna take off. Never mind. I'm just kidding. No, we are family. I got all my
That ain't
sisters
too
with
much y'all
me.
can do to make me not fuck with y'all.
Right.
No, I fuck.
Okay.
What you say? Like, what I'm saying? I fucks with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't get my best New York accent out for that. But
Yeah.
it's cool.
That's
The
okay.
long way.
I think it's the Chicago style pizza that messes
Not
with
at
that.
all.
So
No, not
yeah,
at all.
yeah.
See,
And
I ain't
see,
say a damn thing
well,
about
you know
pizza. Here
what?
you
Well,
go.
guess what? I had to start it. I
Here
had to
you
Here
start
you
go.
it.
go.
It's
We
always
do
the
not
people
like
from New York
cardboard.
who
You
start,
know
We want
what?
some
Because
we
it's not.
dough.
start
It ain't
right,
I
man.
want
cardboard.
some
It's
dough like
not
my
cardboard
minister.
Listen,
I don't want no
anymore.
skinny man.
Let me
I don't
tell
want
you
no
something.
skinny pizza.
Hold on, where Aunt Jerry? Because I'm about to get into my listen. Hold on. A famous rapper said, "Don't start no stuff, won't be no stuff." Okay. And we already know that floppy disk that y'all call pizza ain't pizza at
No,
all. It
no, no.
belongs in the garbage.
It
That's
does
how you
You
know
got
not.
it's
2 against 1 today,
garbage.
though. You
Yeah,
can't stand on
I
nobody
don't.
right now.
You
It's
know what? I
garbage.
don't care. I'll handle.
Listen.
I'll handle y'all. I
Listen,
don't.
listen,
That's
listen. The
okay.
best thing that New York style pizza can do is just become
Y'all
cardboard and a
thin ass
flying
pizza.
No, it
kite.
can't. No,
A
it
flying
can't.
kite or a flying frisbee. That's the
I'm
best thing.
sorry.
I
We
would
we will
give
not.
the only time that I would give New York style pizza to my child is if he wants to play with frisbees in the park.
You know
Okay.
what? You know
Okay.
what? Well, no. Well, at least
Oh,
we don't
come
have
on,
to do.
D. Don't even
You
say
know
that.
what?
It's a good pie. Pizza pie.
They call it a pizza pie.
No, but New York is
Yeah, I was so
absolutely
miserable. That's
the
the only
best
kind of
people
pizza that they
ever,
had is
ever. No,
on a
no,
cruise. It's New York pizza.
that's
Man,
right.
and that's
And guess what? You do not have to get dehydrated because all you're doing is just simply eating dough.
listen,
You do not have to.
no. Just like the Chicago fans would actually say, you get yourself a cup of pizza pies and go ahead and do the deep dish pizza, get your beer, and then actually go ahead and watch the Bears. The Bears, even though they lost last week, but that's okay. They had an awesome season, and we also talk about the greatest coach alive. At first, I was going to say Mike Ditka, but he's a Trump supporter, so screw that.
Jeez.
Oh, we don't mess with them.
Yeah,
At
no, we
all.
don't.
At all.
Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah, shout out to
So I
Bar
want
who
to thank
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
shout
yeah,
out
yeah,
to
yeah,
Bart
yeah.
too. We still trying to coordinate him coming
Become an
on.
ally.
I'm
Yeah.
yeah, still trying to get him on. I know that we've been back and forth on
Yeah, I might have
emails.
him
I'm
on my
like,
show too. He must spin
yeah,
him
we
around.
just need to go ahead and get a date going. But yeah. But ladies, this is fun, but I got like a whole job that I gotta go back to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I have a whole job too that I have to get to.
yeah.
So I have to walk out the door in like within 30 minutes. Maybe
Yeah.
sooner because it's snowing outside. But I
Yeah.
appreciate you guys coming on. I appreciate you that's tuning in. I appreciate you guys who are going to tune in later because you're able to watch the live stream. Till next
Yay.
time, hopefully Saturday Amber's the apostate will be on, but something with work. He might not be able to, but I'll let you know by Friday if he's going to be on or not. Anyway, thank you. Till next time. You everybody have a wonderful
Bye,
day.
y'all. And happy birthday
Bye.
once
Happy
again,
Thanks for all the
birthday
birthday
again,
Kelly.
love.
Kelly.
Thanks for
Peace
all the
out,
birthday love.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye.